The new U92 is pleased once again to bring you the Walker Motor Company and the
And good evening, everybody, and welcome aboard to our edition here of Hawk Talk. We talk IUP football with Coach Paul Tortorella. Jack Benedict here with you, and we're coming to you from the beautiful Hilton Garden Inn, the C.H. Fields Craft Kitchen here at the Hilton. A busy place here this evening, and we'll be busy for the next hour talking IUP football, coming off a win, getting ready for the finale to the season at Bloomsburg this coming Saturday. Coach, good to have you along, and it's got to have a good feeling after a game when you come away with a win. It's seemed like a long time ago, even though it was a few weeks. That is a long time ago.
Yeah, we've stumbled a little bit. When we sit down and really look at it, we feel like we let 2 or 3 games get away that we should have won. But that happens some years, and we very easily could be 8-2. Or even 9-1. I mean, we lost, the quarterback in the Cal game, obviously, and then the 3 other games we kind of lost on the last play of the game: East Stroudsburg, Seton Hill, and Gannon. So if you take the last play out of those 3, it's 8-2, and hopefully, we don't lose the quarterback right in the middle of the Cal game. But, sometimes those things happen. Fortunately, we're still fairly young, with only a couple seniors actually playing. So, we want to finish this season out strong and go into the off season. The one thing about making the playoffs, unless you win it all, you lose your last game.
Yeah.
The only really good thing about not making the playoffs is you can win your last game. So that's what we'll try to do.
Yeah, you'll try to win the last 2 games. Already have one in the hopper. The score was 39-27 IUP, and that's 12 wins in a row over Clarion. You brought it up about Karst Hunter. We were all about probably the only person who wasn't surprised that he was going to play was Karst, because he came to you on Tuesday, and as the week went along in practice last week, he got better and better, and Here he was, and came away, and he had a really good game. In fact, I'm going to start it off with one of the fans' questions who said, Hunter looked dynamic. What did it mean to have him back running your offense?
Well, he's experienced as a quarterback. He's been playing. This is his 3rd year playing Division II football. He really only played 5 games for us before he got injured. But I think actually him sitting out 3.5 games, or let's say 3 games, he learned a lot. Watching from the side, now that he knows what it's all about, I think he grew, in the mind-wise for what we need to get done. You don't want him to miss 3 games, obviously, but he learned a lot in the 3 games he didn't play.
His numbers were just outstanding. He threw for 289 yards. He added 95 yards rushing, so he throws 3 touchdown passes. He scores on a touch. He had 384 total yards,
right.
So that's a great accomplishment for one player. We have a couple of the touchdown passes that Karst threw to Hilton Ridley. We'll take a look at those. One was 23 yards, one was 22. This is the one with a great catch.
Well,
and a great throw.
This is 3rd and 18 too. I was shocked when I looked out there and saw Clarion was in press man coverage on 3rd and 18. So we took the shot, which is what we're going to do against press coverage. And, again, usually on 3rd and 18, you don't see press coverage one-on-one. But that's what they did, and we took our shot and connected and got a score.
The 22-yarder that he threw to Hilton Ridley again, who had another good game. Here's the other one. This is the one to Ridley. right?
Now, this is on the post.
Yeah.
And they were in one-on-one coverage again. It was 3rd and 10, I think. And Karst really did a great job throwing them open. You know, he waited, and he didn't throw it too soon. Hilton got on top, and they were really two really good pitches and catches. Obviously, the first one, the coverage was a little better. The second one, he beat him on top, but Karst didn't throw the ball too soon, and that was big.
Yeah, they've hooked up, and fortunately, they're both going to be back next year. So the start of the game, it was like, here we go again.
Right.
7 plays in, it's 14-0 already.
Right.
Clarion, what was the sideline? What were you all thinking at that time?
Well, actually, it was nobody really panicked. You know, we just kind of, you know, it was we had only had the ball one time. Had a decent drive going and threw an interception. We didn't play very good on the first series of the game defensively. I mean, we had them stopped on 3rd and 2 and missed 2 tackles. You know, and then they hit after the turnover, they hit a 45-yard deep ball where Taylor had pretty good coverage and he tripped over the guy's foot that he was covering.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, so obviously we're down 14-0, but there's still a lot of football left. You know, we were 6 minutes into the game. So we just had to, you know, from that point on, we scored 26 points in a row on them by just, you know, staying with the plan. Obviously played better on defense. We had a couple 3-and-outs, and then we moved the ball really the whole game on them. Other than the 2 interceptions, we only punted 2 times, and one was near the end of the game where we, you know, we're just kind of playing it out. So the 2 interceptions, we were driving the ball actually on both of those drives too. So there was really only one drive where we had a 3-and-out, and then there was a drive late in the game where we had a 3-and-out that, you know, we just didn't want to turn it over. So, you know, really every series we had the ball other than one, we had moved the ball pretty good.
I was really surprised when I saw the final stat sheet.
Right.
565 yards.
Well, we had probably over 100 yards on the two drives that we threw interceptions on. So then when you look, and all of our drives started in our own end. Mm-hmm. You know, we got a turnover late in the game, but that didn't matter. And when we got a turnover earlier in the game, it was on our 30-yard line. So we had to go the length of the field a lot. We had 2 good kick returns called back for penalties. We had one on their 40 we brought it back to. We had a penalty on it. And we had one on their 48 that we had a penalty on that got called back. So we didn't have great field position, so most of those yards, we had to go a long way to score.
Yeah, I was going to say, your drive 75, 73.
Right.
And, you know, you had it going. It was good that this young team that we've talked about didn't panic.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, you're 6 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
And they scored in one play after the turnover. So now you're down 14-0. But we, like I said to the coaches, we've only had the ball one time. Let's just don't panic. We'll be fine. And then we went, and from that point on till the end of the 3rd quarter, we outscored them 26-0. And then we got into the 4th quarter, and we both scored 2 touchdowns, and, you know, that was the game.
I saw the quote by Karst where he said once he took his first or second hit, it was just like he had never been away.
Yeah, there was no he really didn't look rusty at all, to be honest with you. You know, he'd probably like to have the 2 interceptions back, but other than that, he really only had 1 or 2 plays that he'd like to have back. Threw it well, ran it well, got us in the right plays. So it was a really good performance, and his arm's fresh, like his arm's live. Like we were talking about it at practice today. When you go 3.5 weeks without throwing a football, your arm gets rested. Mm-hmm. So he's got a live arm right now, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk about the play right before the half where he got stopped again at the goal line, the pass to Ridley.
Yeah. Well, with the play, he didn't let both he and Ridley, we snapped the ball too soon. Ridley didn't get far enough in. If he just lets Ridley get in behind our two other receivers, it's a walk-in. But he snapped the ball. Ridley was nowhere near behind our two. We've run this play a couple times with Dwayne Brown when he was here. And basically, you just throw it, you motion in, you get behind the two other receivers, and you just catch it and follow them into the end zone. Well, he snapped the ball, and Ridley only took one step. He never got in behind the receivers, and the corner just cut in behind it. Whereas if he waits till he gets behind our two receivers, the corner's he's a non-factor. And really, the corner hit him. He was still going to score, but one of the defensive ends fell off and knocked him back. The field goal there was a bad, believe it or not, from the 1 yard line on the right hash. That's a terrible angle. We thought about taking a delay of game penalty and just kicking a field goal to give us a better angle. And then we decided to go for it. And we felt like if we just executed it, it was going to score. Mm-hmm.
Could you tell, we had talked about Clarion last week and what Ray Monica has done with that program. We could see a difference in their players and the way they play. You feel that on the field?
Yeah, I mean, they're much improved. They're well coached. They're still a little undermanned. As we go back and look at the game and some of the things that transpired, we win by 2 touchdowns, but we feel like we should have won by at least 4 touchdowns. A play here and a play there. But it's sometimes it's you can play well and win by a lot of points, and then you could play just okay and just barely win. So at the end of the day, we just want to win the game and play well. And at times we played very well during the game, but the first 6 minutes, obviously, you take the first 6 minutes out of it, it's 39-14 or whatever it would have been.
Yeah. I didn't mention this last week. Am I right? Was Shaq Jones still on their coaching staff?
Yeah, he's on Clarion's staff.
On Clarion's staff, yeah. Okay. I thought that he had been here, played for us for a couple of years.
Yeah, he's on their staff, yep.
Yeah, I always like to look at the rosters.
Sure,
because
he was on their staff, coaching the safeties, working with their special teams, yep. Mm-hmm.
We're going to be back with more. We're talking with Coach Paul Tortorella. We're coming to you from the C.H. Fieldcraft Kitchen right here at the Hilton Garden Inn. We'll talk about the game coming up with Bloomsburg. It's a noon kickoff, by the way, at Blooms. We cross Interstate 80 this coming weekend. And about some other things pertaining. We have some questions here that the fans have for the coach. So we'll be back with more. We're coming to you live on U92Radio.com and Renda Digital TV.
No pressure, no hassle. Only one of the reasons to buy your new or pre-owned vehicle from Walker GMC in downtown Katanning. Make the short drive across 422 and see why Walker Motor Company was voted #1 new and used dealership in Armstrong County for 6 straight years.
Don't miss the Dowd 73rd anniversary sale. Whether you want to furnish one room or your entire home, you'll save big. Save up to 40% on custom orders and up to 70% on select floor samples. You'll save on the area's largest selection of in-stock inventory, ready for delivery. Plus, get additional cash discounts or 1 year free financing. The Dowd 73rd anniversary sale. Dowd's of Plumville and Greensburg.
Doesn't your home deserve Dowd's?
Located along the beautiful Allegheny River in downtown Katanning, the Meredith Inn provides an atmosphere of casual upscale dining. Dine indoors or outside on the new patio. Check them out on Facebook or visit their website at themeredithinn.com. Well worth the drive.
And we're back with you live. Jack Benedict with Coach Paul Tortorella. Hawk Talk is what we call it. And we're here for about another 45 minutes or so. Coach, you got a lot of big plays in this game. Been waiting for some big plays for different games. You got a run for a touchdown by Karst, as we mentioned. The pass from Karst to Zanoble to Quinn. And he must have had some feelings, being that he had played there for 2 years.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. A lot of their players are younger players that he really didn't play with. Mm. I think there was only like 1 or 2 guys that he actually played with when he was there at Clarion. So I'm sure he was excited. he had a chance to make a couple other catches that he just didn't, they were 50-50 balls that he didn't come down with, but he hit, we hit the deep one. I believe he had 4 catches for 80-some yards and a touchdown, so he had a good day.
Yeah, he had 53-yarder was the touchdown, and he got shaken up, but fortunately got back in.
Yeah. He ran a corner route, and of course threw it a little bit behind him, and he was up in the air and got his legs taken out from under him, but he came back in and finished the game.
What was also good, very good, on the offensive side was Adam Hauser. He had over 100 yards. He had that 58-yard touchdown run. And he had been plagued before by injuries.
Right.
But, he really looks good.
Yeah.
And you got him back next year, too.
Yeah. I mean, when he's healthy, he's a good back. And, we feel like we have 3 really good running backs. Actually 4, but Randy Washington obviously is out for the season. Younger, and obviously DeJour and Adam. And he had a great game, had caught a pass out of the backfield, also had a great run at the end of the game to make a first down near the end of the game there where we didn't have to punt. He was stopped 3 yards short of the first down, and he had great second effort and made the first down. And then he had the long touchdown run also. So he's had a good year. He stayed healthy, knock on wood. And obviously he's back for another year next year. So, we feel good about all the running backs will be back next year.
Just to follow up on Randy, will he get a medical red shirt?
Yeah, and he really doesn't even need one because he's never redshirted anyway. But he'll get a medical red shirt. So we feel really good. We have them all back next year, all the running backs. Plus we got a freshman in Austin, Kai, who's a true freshman who provides some depth for us also.
Dad played basketball at IUP.
Yes, right. Yep.
With Randy, you're going to have to make up your mind. Is he going to be offense or defense?
Well, there's always the potential of moving Randy back to defense and also maybe looking at him as a wide receiver too. But that's, down the road. We'll see where we're at this spring and make some decisions that way.
Let's go on the defensive side. You got some really good performances. Cole Wakeman really had a great game. You had three sacks in the game. Well, 6 sacks overall. A couple. Darius Bruce had a great all-around game. Just you can mention some of these guys and just that they really came to the fore when they had to.
Yeah, I mean, and we had some injuries without Danielson inside. We were banged up a little bit inside, but probably the 2 guys that played probably above the line were Waitman, and Waitman got our player of the game on defense, and then I guess they just told me that Darius got defensive player of the week in the conference.
Oh.
Right? They just told me on the way over here.
Oh, great.
He had a strong game. And at times we played real, like the second and third quarter we shut them out. Our defense played very well. We had like four 3-and-outs. And then at other times we didn't get off the field. They were 5 for 10 on third down, and realistically they should have been 2 for 10. It wasn't what they did, it's what we didn't do. And it probably cost us at least 7 points. In regards to the defense.
When did it occur with Danielson? Because I didn't realize till game day that he was.
We were waiting to see if he was going to clear concussion protocol or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And because he had gotten nicked up at the end of the Gannon game. He wasn't in on the last 2 series of the Gannon game. And so we didn't know, Thursday came and they ruled him out, so he's in a wait and see this week also for this week's game.
So you did some, we'll call it patchwork with the defensive line.
Well,
Okoro.
We moved Okoro over to defense. Stone Shugarts was back. He had been hurt. Obviously, Williams was in there as a starter. And then we were in, some 4-down pass situations where we played with 3 defensive ends. So between all that, I think Okoro played like 20-some plays. Shugarts played upwards of 25 or 30 plays. So we kind of used almost like 3 guys to replace Danielson.
Will you, one of the fans wanted to know, will you stay with Okoro on the defensive side, or how will you handle that?
I think he probably could be a defensive lineman for us, but I see him being a starting tackle for us next year on offense.
You're going to have to argue with Campy.
Yeah, I mean, well, I just think that he's, we're the only guy we lose on the offensive line is McLean.
Yeah.
So Okoro could probably step right in there, and he's the backup right tackle right now. So, we're looking at him as being a starter next year. He has 2 years left after this year. We're looking at him being a starter. Like, he started the opener, actually, Okoro, against
Ashland.
Oh, it's so long ago, Ashland.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at him to replace McLean at right tackle next year.
One of the fans had sent something in, wanted me to ask you, could Waitman be moved to linebacker next year, or would he stay at defensive end? And who's going to?
Well,
you're losing both starting linebackers.
Yeah. Well, Waitman's a good pass rusher. You don't want to waste him at linebacker. He's our best pass rusher, and he actually plays really good against the run too. As a defensive end, in my mind, he's an all-conference player as a sophomore. Causes a lot of havoc in the backfield in the run game. He's a good pass rusher. Very physical play. Like, he played every play Saturday, Waitman.
Wow.
Played every play.
Every play. Would you like for next year, would you like to bring 2 bigger tackles in defensively inside like you had a couple years ago?
Yeah, I mean, we were probably pretty lucky to have Ronye Mitchell. To have a 310-pound guy in there, you kind of take for granted. And then Greg Moore, for 2 years, they were really pretty dominant inside as defensive linemen. We'd like to be a little bigger in there. Danielson and Terrell Williams aren't the biggest guys, but they are very active and they move very well. I mean, they're hard to find. These big defensive linemen, I mean, even if they're just average players, the Division I's go on those guys, size-wise. Like, we were very fortunate back in the day when we had Averett and Weldon. I mean, we're playing with 2 Division I defensive tackles for 3 years with those guys. I mean, they were Division I players with great size. So we were very fortunate to have them for 3 years. And then we had the 2 ends, Tillman and Easterling, that were probably Division I guys too.
Well, look what Tillman's done.
Yeah, Tillman's playing professionally, so we were fortunate that way. And then we had Mitchell and Moore inside, so we'd be looking for another defensive lineman, maybe a transfer that could come and help us, because we do need a little bit of depth there. We do have some good young prospects who are nowhere near ready yet. The one guy that probably would be ready is a partial qualifier, so he's ineligible to play in the games. So he would probably be helping us this year if he was eligible. But defensive linemen at this level inside are very hard to find. I mean, we play against other teams inside down guys, and we're not overly enthralled with the other team's defensive tackles either. So, and Bloomsburg now, their guys are pretty good, but they're only 245 pounds. They're 2 inside down guys. One's 250, and the other one's 245. So if you can get away with smaller guys like Terrell Williams and Danielson, that's good. But it gets to a certain point though where you got to get a little bigger in there.
In the secondary, with everybody that's been back now for the 3rd year, and you've been using some other people. You're going to continue like you've been. I think you started Isaiah.
Right. Toller
started.
Right, and then Waddell was playing as the 3rd corner. He tweaked his hamstring a little bit in the second half, so he's probably questionable for this week. But the 2 corners, Taylor and drawing a blank.
The 2 corners?
Yeah.
Taylor and Bruce.
Well, Bruce is the nickel or the star.
You've got Johnston is your nickel man in there. Ingram.
No, the other corner, 29.
Oh, Frazier.
Frazier.
Yeah.
Him and his dad are going to get mad at me. But I draw a blank every now and then. He's had a good year.
Join the crowd.
I think Frazier and Bruce have been all conference should be mentioned in the conversation for all conference, those two. And then, we only have one senior in the secondary, and that's Taylor. Mm-hmm. And he's been a 2-year starter for us. He had a nice interception last week. He got called on an interference call. It was a bad call, but nonetheless, he got away with one that they didn't call, so he broke even, I guess.
Yeah. I wanted to follow up on Isaiah Towler. He had 7 tackles, 7 total tackles, which led the defense.
He's coming along. He hasn't played a whole lot. He had been hurt for 2 years with a knee, so he's played in a reserve role most of the season, and then I believe we played him a good bit against Gannon, and then we started him this Saturday. So he's a good tackler. He's smart. He had a couple mistakes Saturday. One hurt us on the one run. He overran it, but he plays hard and is smart. So we're looking forward to his development.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, too, about, I have it here, pooch kicks. Was that by design, or what was that all about?
No. We'll just leave it at that. I don't know where that came from or how it got communicated or what he was doing. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay. Sounds good. And we'll be back with more. We'll see if we can answer some more questions. Coach Tortorella with us here. Coming to you live from the CH Craft Kitchen, the CH Fields Craft Kitchen. We're at the Hilton Garden Inn. We're talking IUP football this week. It's kickoff at noon at Bloomsburg against the Huskies. We'll talk about them in just a few minutes. They have an interesting season going, too. Back in a moment, coming to you live on U92Radio.com and Renda Digital TV.
Surround yourself with good friends at the Hilton Garden Inn and CH Fields Craft Kitchen, offering breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, private dining, and catered events. Whether you're an out-of-town guest staying at the Hilton Garden Inn, visiting IUP, or part of the local community, they invite you to join them. On Wednesdays, it's Hump Day Happies from 4 to 6 p.m., featuring $2 off craft cocktails, draft beer, house wines by the glass, and half off select small plates. Find out more online or Facebook and make your choice after the big game. The Hilton Garden Inn and CH Fields Craft Kitchen.
Dunkin' Donuts on Oakland Avenue in Indiana wants to show you its new look. Dunkin' is now open and invites you to see the newly remodeled location for yourself. The new Dunkin' has a store of the future look with several new features, such as coffee on tap, mobile order pickup space, and even smart device recharging pads and technology available inside. See for yourself the new look. The newly remodeled Dunkin' Donuts, now open on Oakland Avenue. Indiana runs on Dunkin'.
5.
Welcome back, everybody. Hilton Garden Inn, Hawk Talk it is. Jack Benedict along with Coach Paul Tortorella. Had one of our regulars here said, got a question for the coach. Who's going to replace Drew at linebacker? He's finishing up his great career. He's 4th, I think, right now in the entire league. And I know you have some younger people, but we've had some great linebackers for a period of years.
We've got 2 young linebackers that one's a freshman and one's a sophomore, Sims and Strickland, that should be ready to step in and play as starters starting this spring, obviously. The other 2 guys have played, we played both Sims and Strickland a little bit last week.
Yes.
As the game went on. We didn't just wait till the end to put them in. I mean, they played in the first half, those guys. They're both guys that are very capable. They're just young. I think this spring will be a huge development. Like if on paper, both Sims and Strickland have the measurables and to be ready to step in as starters. They just haven't played. And that's what spring football will be for. So, looking at it that way, that's probably where we're at right now. And then, we're always looking for somebody that's developed that can come in and play. But right now, if we were playing a game tomorrow and didn't have Biss and Holmes in there, it would be Strickland and Sims.
Okay. I'm going to turn to DeJour Stewart, who came up with a touchdown in the game against Clarion. In fact, let's take a look at DeJour's touchdown here. Sneaking his way through, and he's on his way in for 6 points. Kind of lunged his way into the end zone.
That was really well blocked. Our center had a pancake block there late, and it was a soft box because it was 2nd and 10. And, we could match up. We had a hat, as the gurus say, we had a hat for a hat. And everybody got blocked. And obviously, if you get that and a guy with the ball in his hands, that's pretty good for the offense. They didn't have an extra defender in the box because it was 2nd and 10, more of a pass down situation, and we ran it. And they didn't have the extra hitter in the box.
He's really come back. He came back in a hurry, 8 or 9 months after the ACL. A note here that I had to put down. If all these numbers are right, and I think they are, 85 yards, he'll have 2,000 in his career.
Well, that's good. That's good to know because we're not going to worry about that if, we're going to do whatever we can to win the game.
Sure.
But that's good to know. Hopefully we can get him 85 yards and get him over 2,000 because he's really played very well until he got hurt near the end of the year last year. And then, we didn't know we were going to have him back for the full season, and he played in the opener against Ashland.
Yeah, amazing.
And he was an all-conference player last year. He's a really good running back. So we're looking forward to having him back for his senior year and look for big things from him next year.
Tort, you've been here so many years, head coach, assistant coach for all the time with Big Guy and so on. You've seen a lot of the great running back. So when I heard this, I had to go back and take a look. Only 17 running backs have 2,000 or more. And, when you're looking at a long, long series all the way back, that's a pretty select group.
Well, not only that, but you've got to be pretty durable.
Exactly.
If you're not playing. Like Adam just went over 1,000 yards, Hauser, the week before last, I think. So, I mean, he's played 3 years, so he's averaged, if DeJour gets to 2,000, that's averaging about 700 yards a season. And he missed 4 games last year with an injury. So we're obviously looking forward to him finishing the season strong this Saturday and then being a big part of the future next year.
Let's take a look. Some of the questions here that the fans have. Let's see. What part of the team showed the most improvement to you in the Clarion game? Was there any particular area?
I would probably say the offensive line. I mean, we ran for 280. We threw for 280. We only got sacked once. We had very little negative runs. You're having a pretty good day when you have 560 yards of total offense. We almost had 300-yard rushers. Hauser did get over 100. Stewart was close, and so was Karst.
Yeah.
So I would say probably our offensive line had probably one of their better days this year. And, we've got 3 new starters in there, the center, the left guard, and the left tackle. And their improvement has been tremendous up to this point. And then we've got 2 starters back from the last couple years in McLean and Gerald. And then obviously Gerald will be a senior next year, and McLean, this will be his last game this year. He's had a great career here. It's a 7-year. He's going to have his master's degree. He's had a great career here. He's probably one of the unsung heroes, to be honest with you.
I was going to say
our
that.
whole team. We've won a lot of games with him starting at offensive tackle, and knock on wood, he's there. I'm. How do I want to say this? He's as good a pass protector as we've had here since I've been here in 28 years.
Is that right? Wow.
I mean, now I don't want to jinx him, and then Saturday he gives up a sack, but I would be willing to bet. I'd have to ask Campus I would think in all his years playing here, he's probably not given up more than a handful of sacks on one hand.
That's amazing.
And that's not easy playing tackle.
Not at all. Now, you have some. Last year, you recruited a lot of linemen, or 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
So you have some backups now.
We have a good nucleus of linemen. Koval, Richards playing a lot at tight end. Santiago. And then we brought in the three. With Battle, Cotman, and Okoro. So. Obviously McLean can't play forever, although he's been here since 2017. I'd like to keep him another 7 years, but that can't happen. He'd maybe outlast me if he went 7 more. But, like McLean's been here, and he's been a 3-year starter. And, again, he's had a tremendous career.
Well, let's see. What else? Okay, here's one for you, too. This might be as a follow-up. I don't know about a follow-up, but we talked about the pooch kicks, which we don't want to touch. How do you explain the extra point issues, and what do you do to correct it?
Well, it's bothersome, okay? And I think our kicker is too concerned with the rush, to be honest with you. Because when he misses a kick, he's always missing it opposite of where the rush is. So he's actually trying to kick the ball away from the rush, which is that's the worst thing you could do as a kicker. You should be oblivious to the rush. The rush means nothing to the kicker. And, the common denominator is the kicks that he's great on field goals. His percentage on field goals is off the charts. But on extra points, if they're bringing a rush from our left side, he misses right when he does miss. If they're bringing a rush from our right side, he misses left. Well, he's too worried about where the rush is coming from instead of just kicking the ball.
That's interesting.
So it's field goal wise, he's great. He's probably, I don't know his stats, but in 2 years, he's probably about 75% on field goals. And really, we don't try a lot of field goals, but we don't, he's kicked some 38, 40, 42, 45-yard field goals now. So usually, we go for it a lot on fourth down, especially in the red zone. So he doesn't get as many field goal opportunities as he probably should get. His problem isn't field goals. We have zero problem with him kicking field goals. It's just extra points for some reason. He's worried about where the rush is coming from, and it's really not an issue.
You brought it up about going on fourth down. Are we seeing more coaches utilizing fourth down, going on fourth down?
Way
everywhere?
More fourth down. Most teams, when they get the ball past the 40 going in, it becomes 4-down territory for most teams. And we've gone for it a good bit on fourth down too, but it depends where you're at in the game, what the score is, the whole deal. So he's been field goal wise. If you look at him the last 2 years on field goals, he's been fantastic. It's just this extra point thing that's kind of getting, Well, I'm not real happy about it. Let's just put it that way.
Becomes a mental thing, too, probably.
Well, it becomes a mental thing, and then you're always trying to catch up those points. So he misses the extra point, so we go for 2.
Right.
And Ridley drops the 2-point. The ball's right in his hands. He doesn't catch it. So we would have went for 2, got it, and then we would have kicked extra points the rest of the way. But we lost 3 points because we missed 1 extra point, and it ends up costing us 3. Then we kicked the last one because that put us up 19. And on the chart, that's where you want to kick it. Everything's – I don't worry about the chart in the first half. But in the second half, you got to go by the chart and how many points you're up by, and et cetera, et cetera.
Do you physically have a chart?
Oh, yeah.
You do.
Yeah, everybody does.
Okay. Yeah. Because you can't remember everything.
No. Brett Bryce is in charge of that. He's on it now.
Well, he got the fake cadence.
Yeah, we got him on that. Saturday.
Well, that was Brett, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, there's some things that you got to use to your advantage. And, he's really the guy that's on the point chart, when to go for it, when not to go for it. But I really don't worry about the chart in the first half. Mm-hmm. I only worry about what the chart says in the second half. And so that's why when we missed the extra point, we went for 2, and we didn't get it, so we went for 2 again. And that's the one we should have got, the one that Ridley dropped. So, I don't know, would we have 39? We should have had 41. But if we didn't miss the first extra point, we would have just kicked extra points, and we'd have 42.
No. Here's one for you. This season began with high expectations. Were they too high? And if not, what caused the fall from those expectations?
Well, we lost a really tough game against East Stroudsburg. And I'm going to reserve judgment on at the end of the game, because we should have had the opportunity to kick the winning field goal on 2 different occasions. And the official that blew it actually got sat down for 3 weeks. So we should have been 4-0. And you know me, I just tell it like it is. I'm not hiding anything. We should have had 2 chances to kick the winning field goal against East Stroudsburg. The referee blew it. So, 4-0 potentially going into Slippery Rock. Did not play well. It just was, we got outclassed in that game. And, you got a chance to win the Cal game. Karst goes down 13-13 midway through the second quarter. When you look at the teams that are playing well and that are going to be in the playoffs, they still have their starting quarterback. Some of these other teams, Cal, Slippery Rock, a couple teams in the East, I'd like to see how they play with their backup quarterback. We've been fortunate. We've lived a charmed life here since I've been the head coach. We have not had one quarterback go down. Lenny Williams, Quentin Maxwell, Harry Woodbury, Max Sexton. Now we come into it, and Karst goes down in the second quarter of the 6th game. So at the end of the day, everybody can say whatever, and you can look at it however you want. In my mind, and I'll come right out and say it, the officials cost us the East Stroudsburg game, because I was told that by the head of officials. So, going into Slippery Rock, we got outclassed. We're 4-1 going into the Cal game, and the quarterback gets hurt in the second quarter. I'd like to believe if he doesn't get hurt, we got a much better chance to win that game. And going to play Seton Hill 6-1 instead of 4-3 is a whole different story. Mm-hmm. But that's the way it goes. That we've had good luck too at times. Mm-hmm. Throughout the times I've been here, throughout the times I've been the head coach, et cetera, et cetera. But it's tough when your quarterback goes down. He missed 3.5 games. And really, we still should have won all 3 games he didn't play in. We lost on the last play, basically, of the game against Gannon. And we should have been tied to go into overtime against Seton Hill, but we dropped a touchdown pass with 15 seconds to go in the game. So that's the way it goes sometimes. I mean, we've gotten breaks. I can remember in a couple of the years earlier when I was the head coach, 17 and 19, like we were getting every break imaginable. So they even out sometimes. 21, 22, same thing. Sometimes you get the breaks and sometimes you don't. You have to play well enough so that the breaks actually help you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, and you don't get the breaks, then you're going to struggle like we have this year. But there's no doubt in my mind, the Slippery Rock game, we got outclassed. Okay, no questions asked. We could have won every other game we played this year. And just look at the scores and look, we lost 3 games on the last play of the game.
Yeah, that's in itself. It's just been a year unlike any other year.
And the Edinburgh, and then the Cal game, our quarterback gets hurt in the middle of the second quarter. Scores tied 13-13.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not when you have a backup quarterback and he practices all week as the starter and he plays the next game and you can prepare him for it. That's different. When your starting quarterback goes down early in the second quarter and you got to put your backup in the middle of the game, it's not an easy task when you play somebody good like Cal.
Well, look what Nico did when he had practice the weeks after
Yeah.
that.
The second half, and first half against Edinburgh, didn't have a great first half. Second half played lights out against Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Seton Hill, same thing. Didn't have a great first half, played lights out in the second half against Seton Hill. Gannon was the other way. He played great in the first half, and he didn't have as good a second half. Those young quarterbacks that come in as backups, you got to be a special player as a freshman to go in as a backup quarterback and play a great full game, from start to finish. And that's just where we are right now.
Yeah. All right, we are in the fourth quarter. We'll put it that way. We'll be back with our final segment. We're going to talk about the region and about the game coming up with Bloomsburg with Coach Paul Tortorella. And we'll be back with Hawk Talk live from the Hilton Garden Inn, coming your way on U92Radio.com and Renda Digital TV.
Don't miss the Dowd 73rd anniversary sale. Whether you want to furnish one room or your entire home, you'll save big. Save up to 40% on custom orders and up to 70% on select floor samples. You'll save on the area's largest selection of in-stock inventory, ready for delivery. Plus, get additional cash discounts or 1 year free financing. The Dowd 73rd anniversary sale. Dowd's of Plumville and Greensburg.
Doesn't your home deserve Dowd?
Surround yourself with good friends at the Hilton Garden Inn and CH Fields Craft Kitchen, offering breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, private dining, and catered events. Whether you're an out-of-town guest staying at the Hilton Garden Inn, visiting IUP, or part of the local community, they invite you to join them. On Wednesdays, it's Hump Day Happies from 4 to 6 p.m., featuring $2 off craft cocktails, draft beer, house wines by the glass, and half off select small plates. Find out more online or Facebook and make your choice after the big game. The Hilton Garden Inn and CH Fields Craft Kitchen.
Dunkin' Donuts on Oakland Avenue in Indiana wants to show you its new look. Dunkin' is now open and invites you to see the newly remodeled location for yourself. The new Dunkin' has a store of the future look with several new features, such as coffee on tap, mobile order pickup space, and even smart device recharging pads and technology available inside. See for yourself the new look. The newly remodeled Dunkin' Donuts, now open on Oakland Avenue. Indiana runs on Dunkin'.
We're back with you now. Final segment of Hawk Talk. This is our last show of the season. Last game of the season coming up with Bloomsburg at noon on Saturday. A couple of positives that I had jotted down here. Wanted to give some credit. See what you thought. Adam Spittler as a punter is averaging about 42 a kick. And you finally found yourself after some years. Cy Clark in the kickoff returns. He's number one in the conference now, averaging 28 and a half.
Right.
So those are, again, more positives looking toward next year.
He had the one called back Saturday that went to the other 40-yard line, so he lost some yardage there. I think our special teams at times has been really good. And we're really only playing 4 seniors right now. So at the end of the day, after this game Saturday, on paper, 18 of the 22 starters are coming back. And we got some good young players in the program that will be ready to take the next step. But we only have 8 seniors on the whole team. That's the other thing we're a very young team. Going into the season with a new quarterback, small senior class, the close games that we lost, if we could have got over the hump, we lost 5 games and we very easily could have won 4 to 5. Mm-hmm. They're all one-score losses, and 3 of them are at last play of the game. We lose last play of the game against East Stroudsburg, last play of the game on a 51-yard field goal against Gannon. 12 seconds to go, we drop a touchdown pass against Seton Hill. That game's going to go into overtime. Cal were tied in the middle of the second quarter, and our quarterback gets knocked out of the game. So you got to get some breaks, obviously, but you got to make your own breaks too. But the only game that we just got outclassed in was the Slippery Rock game. We very easily could have won every game. Most of our wins have been pretty dominant. The Ashland game was a tough game. That's tied with 6 minutes to go. And, we won that one, but we could have got beat that night. So, I just think we're when you look at it, we're about 14 points away from having one loss. We lose 3 games basically on the last play of the game.
I'm sure that I wrote down Bloomsburg with their record of 3-7, and
Right.
I know you. They beat Clarion 21-7. Of course, their big win was over Shepherd, 14-10, and they beat Millersville by 3.
Right.
They only lost to Fairmont by 4.
Right.
7 to Ship, 3 to Westchester, 8 to Lock Haven, and 5 to East Stroudsburg.
They have 5 one-score losses. So they're 3-7. If they just win 2 of those 5 one-score losses, they're 5-5. Lost a lot of close games. They're pretty young. They've got a lot of. They're very similar to us. They got a lot of juniors starting. I'm not sure quite the number. I think it's 12, 13 juniors like us that are starting on their 2D. And realistically, the only game they really weren't in was the Kutztown game. They very easily could be 5-5, 6-4. They've lost to Westchester by less than 1 score. Kutztown was the only team that really handled them fairly well. East Stroudsburg, they lost 21-16 on the road. But they've won their last 2. They beat Shepherd at home, who's got a chance to be in the playoffs. And they went to Millersville last week and beat Millersville at Millersville. So they're a very formidable opponent. It's kind of a 3-7 team that very easily could be 5-5 or 6-4.
How do you view the what is called the state game, which I know the championship of the PSAC with the Rock at Kutztown?
Well, Kutztown's a very good team at home. They play great at home. Slippery Rock is a team that really has not played a close game. Like, they've just beaten everybody by at least 2 touchdowns. So Kutztown with 2 losses is actually probably more hardened than Slippery Rock. They've played in a lot more close games than Slippery Rock. But Kutztown has the home field advantage. And Slippery Rock hasn't been in a lot of tight games. Kutztown's been in a lot of close games. So I think it's a toss-up. Kutztown home field advantage has been hardened by a lot of close games. Slippery Rock really is like they've won every game by more than a touch. I mean, they really have. They haven't had a close game. They're 10-0 and they've really not had a close game all year.
Yeah. Whenever you take a look at the region, Slippery Rock the favorite?
Well, this year I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention.
I know what you mean.
But I think in our conference, you got to say Slippery Rock, Kutztown, Shepherd, and probably the winner of the Cal East Stroudsburg game get in. And we'll probably get 4. To be honest with you, I don't even know who the other teams are in the region this year because once we were out of it, I had no concern about who else. Obviously, a team from the West Virginia Conference, probably Charleston. New Haven, probably. And, the other team that's undefeated that's pretty good is Tiffin. They're undefeated. They've handled that league pretty good. They beat Ashland pretty good. So I would think the 4 from our league, Charleston, Tiffin, obviously. Tiffin will probably be a high seed. And New Haven, I think, from the other league would be in it. But like I said, I just know the teams in our conference. And I would think that the East Stroudsburg Cal game would be for the 4th playoff spot. And, Cal's been pretty solid, and East Stroudsburg had a... Yeah, I mean, that's at East Stroudsburg. It'll be a good game.
Yeah.
I think Shepherd, I don't know who they play this week, but they had a big win last week over East Stroudsburg. So I think, they got beat by Bloom, who we're playing. They have 2 losses. I don't know who they're playing this week, but I think if they win, they'll get in. They had beaten Cal.
It'll be pretty interesting.
Yeah, so I think that's where it's going to be. It's going to be the 3, Slippery Rock, Kutztown, Shepherd, I would think, and then the winner of the
Cal and East Stroud.
Cal East Stroudsburg game would be the 4th team.
Yeah. One other thing, we have a couple of minutes here. How one of the fans want to know, how will you handle the portal? I think you've probably answered that in the past. You've got a lot of guys coming back.
Well, I think you got to look at a position where you definitely need immediate help. Where, if, like I said a couple minutes ago, on paper, after the game Saturday, we technically, the guys that are starting in the game Saturday, 18 of them will be back. So whatever you want to look at, 18 starters are back. All 4 specialists are back. We only had 8 seniors on the whole team. 2 of them have been hurt a lot. So really, unfortunately, with injuries, we've only really played 4 or 5 seniors the whole year. Mm-hmm. So, we've got a great nucleus coming back, and that's going to be a senior class. And I don't want to jinx ourselves, but the way the cycle works, in 17, we had a huge senior class. In 22, we had a huge senior class. In 24, we're going to have a huge senior class. And it goes that way with everybody. Mm-hmm. Slippery Rock, when they've made their runs, they had a huge senior class. Shepherd had 28 seniors last year.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So they made their run when they had a huge senior class. The 1 year even previously, earlier, when Shepherd had a real good team, they were loaded with seniors. Slippery Rock the same way in 19. They had like 27 seniors on that team. So if you have a big senior group, we'll have 19. And then if you bring a senior in, it's a transfer. You throw. We only really brought in 1 senior transfer, and that was Zenoble. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, when you have a big senior class that's really good, you should have a chance to be pretty good. Mm-hmm. And we've got some good young players, too, in the program that aren't going to be seniors. But to answer your question, we're a developmental program. I think we only had 5 portal transfers on the whole team this year. And that's the route we'll go. Now, if we need immediate help at a position, I don't really like to get 1-year transfers, but sometimes that's what you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. We'll make that move. Obviously, the quarterback, we had, the quarterback situation, Max Sexton had another year. But when he decided to not come back, we had to go and get Karst. Well, he has 2 years, so he's got another year, which is good.
And you were fortunate to get him.
Right. Yep. So, we got a lot of really good players that are going to be seniors next year. We got the 2 running backs, will be seniors next year. Karst at quarterback will be a senior next year. The center will be a senior next year. The left tackle will be a senior next year. The right guard will be a senior next year. The tight end, Laney, if we hope comes back, he should get another year. He'll be a senior. Ridley will be a senior next year. So on paper, we should have 8, and then Debner will be a senior. We literally should have 9 seniors starting on offense next year.
It's a lot of.
Then when you go to the defense, in the secondary, we got a bunch of seniors. We'll have some new linebackers. We're fairly young up front. So it'll be a little bit different on defense. But, we have I think it's 18 juniors that'll be back as seniors next year.
Well, that's something definitely to look forward to. Compliments to C.H. Field Craft Kitchen at the Hilton and our friends at Duncan. There you go. They come through again. Tort, thanks for the the whole season and everything else, and good luck against Bloomsburg.
Appreciate it.
And we got a win will give you a winning season, which would be 13 years in a row. So
well, the last time we were in this situation was 2 years ago. We won our last 2 games, and then we won our first 7, which would have been last year. And it led us into that last year's season, and then we were on a 9-game winning streak. We got knocked off by Gannon. But then we got back and beat Shepherd in the championship game and got a bye and won the playoff game against Ashland and lost obviously to Shepherd in the second go around. But when you're playing against a quarterback that's starting in the NFL, if you go 1-1 against them, that's probably decent.
That's probably pretty good.
Right.
Thanks, Stuart. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
You bet. Coach Paul Tortorella, thank you. Thank to all our wonderful people that helped us throughout the season, and Daniel Pisarczyk, our producer back at Renda, John Smathers and company, thank you one and all. Jack Benedict here. We'll see you at Bloomsburg this coming week for the final game of the regular season. Have a nice evening, everybody.
You've been listening to another edition of Hawk Talk on the new...
All right, good night, Jack.